Hey everyone, my name's Jake. 4 years ago, my life burned to the ground. Literally. One night, a fire took my home, my family, and every piece of me I thought mattered. I'm not here to tell you a feel-good story. This is about hitting rock bottom so hard you forget what daylight looks like, and clawing your way back up. If you've ever felt like the world's caved in on you, stick around. Because I've been there, buried alive in my own ashes. It all started back in the summer of 2020. I was 34, living in a little house just outside Austin, Texas, with my wife, Emily, and our 2-year-old daughter, Lily. We'd built that place ourselves. Nothing fancy, just a cozy ranch-style home with a porch swing Emily loved. I drove trucks for a living, long hauls across the state, while Emily ran a small bakery downtown. Life wasn't perfect, but it was ours. We'd fight over stupid stuff like bills or whose turn it was to mow the lawn, then laugh it off over a beer. I thought we had time to grow old together, time to give Lily a little brother or sister. That night, I got home late from a run. It was July 17th, sticky hot even at midnight. I kissed Emily goodnight, peeked in on Lily. She was curled up with her stuffed bunny, fast asleep. I crashed, exhausted, thinking tomorrow I'd fix the leaky faucet she'd been nagging me about. But I woke up choking. Smoke was everywhere, thick and black, stinging my eyes. I yelled for Emily to grab Lily and get out. She scooped her up. I stumbled toward the door, but the fire was faster. The walls were blazing, the ceiling creaking like it was about to give. I heard Emily scream my name. "Jake, help us!" And it's a sound I'll never unhear. I tried to get to them, but a wall of flames cut me off. The heat was unbearable, like standing in an oven. I ran outside, screaming for the neighbors to call 911. By the time the fire trucks rolled in, the house was a roaring inferno. I stood there, barefoot in the dirt, watching it all collapse. When the firefighters finally put it out, they found them. Emily and Lily didn't make it. A faulty wire in the attic, they said. Something I'd meant to check, but never did. My fault. That night broke me. Everything I'd worked for, gone. All I had left was a charred picture frame from our wedding day, pulled from the rubble. I couldn't even bury them properly. The guilt ate me alive. Why me? Why not them? I moved into a cheap motel, but I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the fire, heard their voices. Friends tried to help, brought casseroles, offered couches. I pushed them away. I didn't deserve their pity. I started drinking, heavily. First beer, then whiskey, then whatever I could afford. I'd sit in my truck, parked in some empty lot, and drink until I blacked out. I lost my job, couldn't focus, missed too many shifts. The bank took the truck when I stopped making payments. I was drowning, and I didn't care. One night I woke up in a ditch off I-35, covered in mud, with a busted lip and an empty bottle. I didn't even remember driving there. I'd become a ghost. Alive, but not really. The lowest point? I started sleeping under a bridge near the river. Me, a guy who once had a mortgage and a 401k, digging through trash cans for food. I'd mutter apologies to Emily and Lily, promising I'd join them soon. I'd walk past their graves at the cemetery, just standing there in the rain, letting it soak me to the bone. One day, I bought a rope from a hardware store. I sat in the dark with it, looping it in my hands, imagining the weight lifting off me if I just let go. I couldn't do it. Maybe it was cowardice. Maybe it was Lily's laugh echoing in my head. I threw the rope in the river and sobbed until I couldn't breathe. My family, my parents, my older brother didn't know what to do with me. At the funeral, Mom cried, but then she said, "You should have saved them, Jake." Those words cut me like a knife. Dad just stayed silent, looking away like I was a stranger. My brother Mike tried to keep in touch, invited me to crash at his place in Dallas, but I could hear the judgment in his voice. How could you let it get this bad? One day he showed up at the motel, saw me with a bottle and said, "You're shaming Emily, lying around like some bum." He left, and I never saw him again. My parents stopped calling. I heard from mutual friends they were embarrassed of what I'd become. Their distance finished me off. I hadn't just lost my home and family. I'd lost everyone who was supposed to stand by me. I was alone, completely alone. That was my bottom, but it was also my turning point. I couldn't keep killing myself, not if I wanted to honor them. Emily always said, "You're stronger than you think." So I decided to try. The first step was the hardest. I walked into a shelter downtown Austin, half dead from hunger and shame. A volunteer named Marta met me there. She didn't look at me like a failure, just handed me a bowl of soup and said, "You're not alone." Those words stuck with me. They put me in a room with 5 other guys, all as broken as I was. One of them, old Bill, had lost his wife in a car wreck and drank himself onto the streets. He'd tell me his stories, but his eyes were empty. He'd given up, just waiting to die. I didn't want to end up like Bill. After a week at the shelter, I met Tom, a counselor who'd lost his son years back. He sat with me every night, listening to my tears, staying quiet when I couldn't speak. He told me, "You can't bring them back, but you can make their lives mean something through you." Tom got me my first job, sweeping floors at a warehouse for $10 an hour. I'd come home with calluses on my hands, but for the first time in forever, I felt like I wasn't just trash. Step by step, I moved forward. Marta introduced me to a mechanic named Ryan, who sold me an old Chevy for half price because he knew my story. I started driving for a delivery company, first a few hours a day, then full-time. I rented a tiny room with peeling paint and a mattress from Craigslist, but it was my first home since everything fell apart. I joined a support group at a local church. There, I met people like me and others who couldn't climb out. There was a guy, Eddie, who'd lost his house in a hurricane and couldn't stop drinking. He'd show up to meetings, but always left with a bottle in hand. One day, he just disappeared. I heard they found him dead in a park. It scared me, but it also lit a fire under me to keep fighting. I started writing letters to Emily and Lily, pouring out everything: the guilt, the love, the hope. Every week I'd burn them by the river, watching the smoke rise like it was carrying my words to them. It became my ritual, my way of letting the pain go bit by bit. Then I started volunteering, delivering supplies to families who'd lost everything in fires. One time I brought blankets to a woman with 2 kids, and she hugged me, tears streaming, saying, "You saved our winter." That moment hit me. I was needed again, but there was one moment that changed everything. One rainy evening, I was driving home after a delivery. A kid, maybe 20, stood on the side of the road, soaked, next to a broken-down car. I stopped, even though I didn't want to. I was beat from a long day. He said he was coming back from work, but his car died, and his phone was dead too. I offered to drive him to a gas station. On the way, he told me he lived with his sick mom, and that job was all that kept them afloat. He looked so scared, so helpless, and I saw myself in him, the me who stood under that bridge with no hope left. I didn't just drop him off. I gave him the 20 bucks I had in my pocket and said, "Hang in there, man." He looked at me like I'd saved his life. Driving home, it hit me. It wasn't him who needed me. I needed him. That small act reminded me I didn't have to be a victim. I could be the one who helps. For the first time in years, I felt like Emily and Lily might be proud of me. Not the old Jake, but the man I'm becoming. Today, I'm not the Jake I was before the fire. That guy's gone for good, and I'm not sorry about it. I've built something new from the wreckage, not perfect, but mine. I still volunteer, helping people who've lost everything like I did. I planted a cedar tree where our house once stood, small but strong, reaching for the sun like I reached for life. Emily and Lily are with me. In every sunrise, every mile I drive, every breath I take. Their absence hurts, but their love keeps me going. This isn't about losing everything. It's about learning to value what's left, even if it's just me. Life doesn't promise us easy roads. It throws us into the fire, drowns us in darkness. But there's a spark in all of us that can catch flame again. I found mine. And I believe you can find yours, even if you're standing in ashes right now, like I was. Hey, if this story hit you, take a second. Think about your own life. What's holding you down? What's stopping you from getting up? Maybe it's pain you're hiding, or guilt you carry like a stone. I've been there, and I'm telling you, you don't have to stay there forever. Write your story in the comments. Not for me, for you. Let it out. Subscribe if you want more real talk like this. Stories that remind us we're all tougher than we think. And do one small thing today. Not for anyone else, but for yourself. Because your life's worth fighting for. Thanks for being here with me. See you next time.